Hi, friends. Welcome back to another week of remote learning. You guys are doing fabulous. I'm super proud of you. Today, we are going to learn that readers become the characters. So let's get started. Have you ever watched a movie where you felt so many emotions? Like maybe all of these emotions? I have. Some of you guys might know this, but one of my favorite movies is Moana. And as I was watching Moana, there were so many emotions and feelings that I felt from the characters. I felt upset at this part when her grandmother was passing. I felt hopeful when Moana was singing How Far I'll Go. I felt nervous for her when we were watching her trying to defeat the volcano. And I felt very courageous during most of the movie when Moana was tackling her problems and being really brave. So, today I want to teach you that readers bring their characters to life by noticing when their feelings change and taking action. So, what that means is that if we read a book, like Mr. Putter and Tabby, we want to make sure that we are feeling the same emotions as our characters and reading it like their characters would be saying it. Otherwise, it would sound really boring and like a robot like this. The Dandies. Mrs. Teaberry and Zeke arrived in their baseball clothes. Let's go, said Mrs. Teaberry. They all drove to the ball field. The Yankee Doodle Dandies were in the middle of a game. A batter was running from home. Everyone waited and waited and waited. I'm feeling pretty young, said Mr. Putter. Man, that sounds pretty boring and robotic, right? We want to make sure that we are bringing our characters to life and we want to sound like them. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to notice, whoops, we're going to notice when the character's feelings change, and then we're going to change our voice to make our voice sound with those same emotions that those characters might be feeling. So, how are we going to do this? What clues should we look for? The word said or thought is a clue that your character is going to say something or think something. So that's one thing to pay attention to. Quotation marks. Quotation marks look like this. They look like commas that float in the sky. And that is a clue that the words in between the quotation marks are the words that the characters say. And look, there's that magic word again, said. So in between the quotation marks is what your character says. It is fun, he said. You can also look for words that slant to the side, which looks like this. Sometimes this is a clue that your character is thinking something. Then what? Use the picture. Use the picture to look at the characters' faces and see how they're feeling. You can also look at their bodies to see what their bodies are doing. That often tells you how their characters might be feeling. You want to pay attention to what the character is saying and what they're doing. And then you want to notice when their feelings change. Then change your voice. Let's watch. I'm going to try it and show you. All right, I'm going to look at this page and see some of those clues right away by studying it. I see some quotation marks. That tells me that Mrs. Teaberry is going to be talking there. I see more quotation marks. I see that italic slanted. That tells me that Mr. Putter is thinking. I see those magic words said and thought. So I'm looking for those clues already. Now I know that I'm going to need to change my voice to think about what Mrs. Teaberry is saying and what Mr. Putter is thinking. So I'm going to look at the picture. She's smiling, which tells me she's probably pretty happy. Mr. Putter, it looks like he's a little bit concerned. He's not smiling. So I'm going to use that happy and calm and confused from the picture to read it. Okay, ready? Let's go play, said Mrs. Teaberry. She looked at Zeke. Stay, she said, patting Zeke's head. Mr. Putter looked at Zeke. No way, Mr. Putter thought. He petted Tabby and went to play. So, to recap what I did on that page is first I looked out for clues like the words said and thought. I looked for quotation marks that told me that those are the words that the characters are going to say. I looked for words in italic that slanted to the side, and that was telling me that that's a character that's thinking something. Then, once I knew where I was going to have to change my voice, I used the picture to help me to think about how the characters might be saying how they might be feeling by what they're saying and what they're doing. Let's read another page and see if we can change our voices as well. Okay, I'm going to study this page and I'm going to see if I see any of those magic clues like the word said or thought. There's one. I see some italics, some slanted words that tells me what he's thinking, but I don't see any quotations on this page. So that tells me I'm only going to need to change my voice for right here where Mr. Putter is thinking. Now I'm going to look and think about what he might be feeling. The picture says that he's just standing there, so let's go with that. Then we'll read the words and see what else is happening in the story because that will help us to figure out how he's feeling. Drop the ball. The Yankee Doodle Dandies were very nice. They let Mr. Putter and Mrs. Teaberry play right away. Mr. Putter took the outfield. Mrs. Teaberry took shortstop. The batter came up. Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. Thought Mr. Putter in the outfield. Okay, now I'm going to pause here. Before I read this part, what he's saying, I could be taking a nap. I'm going to change my voice. I'm thinking about the clues in the story, and I'm realizing that the same thing keeps happening over and over again. So Mr. Putter's probably feeling bored. Let's read this in a bored voice. I could be taking a nap. Sometimes you might have to read it twice to figure out what's happening in the story and to change your voice to react to what makes sense for what's happening in the story. So I'm going to read this part just normally, and then I'm going to think about it, what clues there might be on this page to figure out what's happening in the story and how the characters might be thinking and feeling about it. Another batter came up. Swing and a miss, swing and a miss, swing and a ground ball to second. Mrs. Teaberry leaped into action. She ran for the ball. She reached for the ball. Then, well, thinking about that, it seems like boring stuff was happening here. They were still doing the swing and a miss, but then all of a sudden it changes with a ground ball going to second. So that sounds like it's probably something exciting, right? Thinking about what makes sense in the story. Over here, there's a lot of exclamation marks. Usually exclamation marks mean something exciting is happening. We also know that she's leaping and she's running and she's reaching. So that makes me feel like she's excited and she's moving quickly. So now I'm going to read it again using the clues from the story to help me change my voice to how Mrs. Teaberry might be feeling. Another batter came up. Swing and a miss, swing and a miss, swing and a ground ball to second. Mrs. Teaberry leaped into action. She ran for the ball. She reached for the ball. Then, so today and every other day, I want you to remember that when you're reading a story, you should bring the character to life by noticing when the feelings change and then changing your voice so that you sound more like how the character would be feeling. That makes reading much more exciting, and anybody that's listening to you read, or even if you're listening to yourself read in your own head, will feel a lot more interested in the reading adventure that you're on. Go ahead and head on over to Flipgrid to try out bringing your character to life today.